evening, yeah, wrong 'un. If you bear with me a second, I may be ahead of the game ever so slightly, but I just need to make sure I am in the game. And we've got that, we've got that. Interesting. That, let's have a look. And I just need to make sure that I can see everything that's going on. Right. Yep. Let's get back to how the camera should look. Evening, yeah, wrong. Welcome to live number 183. Well, I never. We'll get into the parish notes in a moment. There's lots going on. Going to make the announcement about the interview. Going to tell you about that. I'm going to take some advice. We've got questions as ever. Les Griffith says in the comments, hope your eye is better, Adrian. It's still very gritty, very gritty. Not quite sure what it is, but it was sore yesterday, less so today. So hopefully it's going to right itself over the next few days. But thank you for asking, Les. Stuart says, evening, Adrian. Hope your eye's better. Don't worry, the Jaeger bomb will be nice and early tonight. Hurrah! Thank you, Stuart. Andy B. Hope you are okay, Rev. Caught up now, so look forward to later. Thank you very much, Andy. And Garen Davis says, all okay, I hope. Thank you, Garen. And we're getting there. There is something going on in the background, which I will explain once everybody gets their feet under the table. Neil Cunningham, good to see you again, Neil. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Aye, Rev. Hope you and all the body of the Kirk are well. Thank you very much, Neil. Likewise to you and yours. Napoleon blown apart as we speak. The right wrong Reverend Allen is rinsing his bowels. I think you'll find they're called. No, I can't. Eyeballs. See, I knew where you went with that because I went there as well. Napoleon Bonaparte is probably laughing his cap off now. Eyeballs under the tap in preparation for tonight's ranty bollocks sermon. Here's looking at you, Rev, or who loves you, baby. Kojak. Not quite Kojak styly. Do you think it was Kojak that had all the men go and shave their heads off back in the day, back in the 70s? Because wasn't it the Bobby Charlton comb over? He who shall not be named. He had one of those Bobby Charlton comb overs, and it made him look like an absolute fanny. So beautiful Scottish word, by the way. Neil Cunningham also says, so welcome to the body of the Kirk, Napoleon blown apart. Neil says, been watching Walking with Dinosaurs. Interesting. Seeing the two Brachiosaurus mating conjured up images of John Major and Edwina Curry. Oi. I want that off the back of my eyeballs. I'm sure Edwina was a fan of the old stockings and suspenders because she was of that particular generation. Neil also says, anyone listen to Rachel Thieves talking about the winter fuel U-turn? She sounds like Data of Star Trek. She does a bit, actually. Correct. Data of Star Trek The Next Generation. She does a bit. And it was... Did you see the guy that was standing next to her? Sort of to the way we were looking at the TV screen, to her left, but her right as she was standing there. There was a little bit of eye rolling going on. There was a little bit of everything going on. He was just like, oh, do I have to stand here? Because somebody will have come along and gone, here. Yeah, you stand to her right. You're young and impressionable, so you can stand to her right. And, well, Rachel Thieves didn't have a clue what was going on. But her reading that script was so terrible. It was horrible. These are professional communicators. They will have been PR'd and trained within an inch of their lives in reading a script and being convincing in reading the script, and she wasn't. Don't know whether she'd been on the source the night before, whether she was struggling, whether she'd been looking at her spreadsheets all night, or whatever was going on. But she just... I mean, it was wretched as a watch. And the information? Oh, we'll talk about that later. So, yes, I saw the boy that was to her right, our left on the screen. Well, she looked like a robot. They all looked like a robot. And the guy that was standing next to her was like, oh, dear God, do I have to stand here any longer? Oh, man. And he was hopping from leg to leg. Come on, man. Finish. Alan says, hi, everyone. Looking forward to the sermon tonight. Reverend, even the choir boys are merry and have been sipping the altar wine. They're dirty little stop-outs. I wonder where they nipped off to. See what I did there? Nipped off to. Les Griffith says to Neil, Labour backbenchers are beginning to panic. The leadership, however, are all in. I think you'll find that Sir Keir Starmer is definitely all in, up to his bollocks. That's a technical term that we use in politics. He's the leader, so he has to be. And I'm sure he's, all in. Maybe they put a plank of wood across his back just to make sure he doesn't fall all in. They cannot change tack now, even if they wanted to. They know Starmer has messed up with his backdoor Brexit reversal, but then Starmer is very good at using the backdoor. The four tops. I'm just going to ask, you do understand what a top is, don't you? Because I cracked this gag and somebody, I think it was I See You, said, oh, very good, Rev. And then I thought, nobody actually got that. The Fun Boy 3 into the Ukrainian four tops. If you didn't get it, you didn't get it. Google it. Just don't do it while anybody else is around. Tom Harneys says, evening all. As a Roman philosopher once said, never in the history of human conflict has so much Battenberg been eaten by so few in the service of so many. Roy Norton, welcome to the body of the Kirk, Tom. Roy Norton, so it's true, Aid. You joined the Black Eyed Club. What can I say? Me and Lady Gaga. I heard Lady Gaga on I think it was Graham Norton, doing an impression of Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin and his singing. And oi, 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 oi. What a voice. I mean, I know she's a great singer and I know she's a great artist. A bit mad, but getting married soon, seemingly. She can impersonate Robert Plant fantastically. I mean, just brilliantly. So welcome, Ray and Sandra Whittam. What happened yesterday? You having problems with the crabby EE? Oh, let me give you an update before we get into the sermon this evening. So we spoke to EE. So what's happening is everybody that was on BT is now being moved across to EE. And the business users are going to stay on BT, but the household, the ordinary man and woman on the street, the consumers, are going across to EE. Whether some like it or not, that's the way it's going to happen. And other people will use BT's systems to get their broadband up and running. And we spent a couple of hours on the phone to EE. Things not resolved. We've told them our concerns due to my lives crashing and things dropping out. And they said, there's nothing we can do. We've had a look at it. We've had a look at the equipment. We've done our best. So we've said, well, then have somebody from BT ring us. We're now going to have to wait another week to have a word with BT to get the old equipment put back in, which was rock solid. So it's endless frustration. If anybody within the body of the Kirk was thinking, do not touch EE with a barge pole. If you've got an ongoing BT contract, then stay with them, because it will be just a whole world of pain. So that's the update from EE. It's not great. There's not much I can do about it at the minute. Talblock Tracy, what has the Rev been doing to get pink eye? Dirty ticket. There's a gag there, Talblock Tracy, but what can I say? If it's pink, it's pink. One in the pink, one in the Don't know where I've heard that before. Les Griffiths, Tower Block Tracy. There's no truth in the rumour. I just started that he got a chill in it from peeping through the nunnery keyhole. I think it's more like the nuns have been on the... No, see, I'm trying to be gentlemanly. I'm trying not to be Michael Benteen's potty mouth time for the moment. I mean, once we get in, Des Ashton says, good evening all and sundry. Who poked the Rev in the eye with a sharp stick? Everybody, Des. Welcome to the body of the Kirk and Raynor. And further, I think the stalker has been trying to get aid off air. Maybe. Who knows? So we are... it's live 183, Wednesday evening. People slow to come into the body of the Kirk. The next live, and I say this advisedly because I've got something going on in the family, which I will tell you afterwards because it is too upsetting. But someone that I love dearly is struggling, and well, I'll leave it at that. For the sake of the family, I'll leave it at that. But the next live is Sunday, as I say advisedly, because we're not sure how things are going to go over the next few days at all. But we will aim to be there 8 o'clock on Sunday. I will let you know via a little announcement if I can't make it on Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So the sermon this evening is going to have the Royals. I mean, the headline today in some of the newspapers was Druggy gets past Windsor security. I mean, that's no way to talk about Prince Harry. We'll talk about Maddie McCann. We'll talk about Starmer, the useful idiot, because that's what he is now. We'll talk about Kent County Council. Oh, have you seen the numbers? Reform have found within Kent County Council. Oi, 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 oi. The councillors are not going to be very happy. Because somebody's been making very nice money. We'll talk about, yes, should we make it now? We'll wait until a few more people have got their feet under the table. We'll talk about white working class. We are the worst off in the country. This is the indigenous population of this country. So remember when we were told, oh, we're going to change the exam system. We're going to change it from exam and it's going to be continuous continuous assessment, because that's better for the girls. So the boys got it absolutely in the neck because the girls wanted continuous assessment. And then it's come out today that the worst performing is the white working class boys. But they'll want us to go and get our boots on the ground in Ukraine, won't they? Yeah, we're going to talk about Ukraine tonight and what's going on and PMQs today. And there's, I told you last night, conscription was coming, 18 to 30-year-olds. They're the first. That'll be Gen Z then. So they can kiss their arse goodbye. And you see, they can't turn around and go, no, I'm not going to do that. Right, pick your bag up. You're coming with us because it'll be done at the end of a gun. But, I mean, I've seen videos of Gen Z going, no, you can't arrest me. My mummy says you can't. We're not listening to your mama or your papa. You're coming with us. How old are you? Get some ID. We'll take you with us. We'll find the uniform, give you a gun, 6 weeks basic training. You're going to the front line. And there's, I've had some really interesting emails over the last couple of days, which I will use over the next couple of days. I've just been dealing with stuff in the background, talking about how the Russians will have a few thousand Ukrainians as prisoners of war, and Ukraine has a few that will hand over. So the minute that the Russians hand the prisoners of war back over to Sniffy and the Ukrainians, they'll be sent back to the front line. It's a meat grinder. They don't care. The Ukrainians are just being slaughtered left, right and centre. And you know our politicians that are going, oh, Sniffy, there you go. Loads of money, loads of money, loads of money. They're just sending their youth down to the front line to be killed. Because the Russians are not mucking about. They're laughing their cap off. And you think NATO don't know what they're doing? Oh, let's get deeper into that in just a little while. So, welcome everybody to the body of the Kirk. Phil Levan, Theo Bovril, Manda Sky, Tocker 69, Lincolnshire County Council reform just pulled out of putting a nuclear waste dump near me. Very happy. I bet they have. I see you, says, welcome to the body of the Kirk, top of 69. I see you, Irish Catholic school, giving kids storybook about going to a place of worship with a doomed onion-shaped type roof. Oh, I say. The Irish are not happy at the minute. The Irish are fighting men, as is evident of the last 50 years in Northern Ireland. So I don't know. Bad Wolf Media's in the body of the Kirk. Finally here. Jesus, what a day. Oh, you're speaking to him as well, are you? Russ Potts. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, Russ. Get your feet under the table. There's a bit of Battenberg just at the front, just to stave off a little hunger and just make the body of the Kirk smell a bit nicer. And some altar wine. But I think the choir boys have been in because I can hear them making a bit of a song and a dance outside in the beer garden. So I think they've had the odd nip. What else? I was just something popped into my head then. I was just going to tell you. Hang on a second. No, it's gone. So I'll make the announcement before we get into the subject matters. And you're probably thinking, right, come on then, you're wrong. Who's this interview with? So I know a few people, and I don't know whether you can read backward writing, but that is the brand new book by Jeremy Vine. It's called Murder on Line 1, and it's all about a phone-in host. That's as much as I'm going to tell you, because I'm not going to give you any spoilers. But I've started reading it, and it's very good. It is very good, genuinely. So Jeremy's agreed to an interview because he's a phone-in host, and I'm a late-night, lunchtime phone-in host. So it's going to be a phone-in host asking questions to a phone-in host about a story that's about a phone-in host. So we're going to do a bit of anaracking. We know a lot of the same people, and Jeremy's been very kind and given me some of his very, very valuable time. So I want to ask your guidance in just a little while, because technically I'm kind of behind the 8 ball with it. Roy Gordon and me, Adrian. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Stephen Hall. Good evening, Stephen. Darren Grimes banned by his own council for LGBTQ++ parade. Oh, I bet. And why do African elephants have big ears? Because Noddy wouldn't pay the ransom. So I'm told. Rusty's roamings, because he fell out with Noddy. All right, okay. Neil Cunningham sounds good, Adrian. And if the choir boys play up in the beer garden, Sister Mary will get a strap out, and it hurts. I say that's Frank Boff's area of expertise. I want to talk about AI to start. Terry Wookford says, you do realise if you interview Vine and he comes off in a good light, which he will do, Terry, a certain dummy will never speak to you again. Oh dear. How sad. Never mind. So I want to talk about AI. And we've, as I said, we've got 5 questions. I've told you about the interview. I want to talk about AI. Simply because there's a whole load of knees wobbling. There's a whole load of people kind of, they're not sure about things. And they're saying, oh, blimey, hey, was it 18 months, 2 years ago, when a Google engineer said, yeah, AI, it's sentient. Everybody went, hang on a second, what's the word sentient mean? And the engineer said, oh, yeah, it knows it's alive, it knows, and it tried to stop the engineer switching the power off. So fantastic, thank you, Neil. Yeah, good idea. So the engineer said, yeah, it happened. Yeah, and Google went, you're sacked. So 2 years down the line, now all of the experts in AI is talking about AI being sentient, and they want rid of us. I was going to do a bit about the Georgia Guidestones. Maybe I'll save that for tomorrow. But they want us gone. They want us down to under 500 million because that's sustainable. And they want, there's Elon Musk getting one of these robots that'll come to your house and do all your, all your cleaning and stuff Not quite sure whether the robot was male or female, but I will say there is a coming artificial intelligence crisis. It's kind of power without oversight. Now, I would be flippant and say, well, just flick the switch. Can't do anything without a power supply. But I don't know whether they're injecting fear porn. Let me explain, because they're going to need massive data farms to be able to run these bits and pieces around the globe, around the world. I'm sure it'd be North America because that's very profitable. And ICU says robot is a Czech word. Interesting. Des Ashton says Skynet online soon. Terminator, anyone? But America is facing a growing crisis that is literally unfolding before our very eyes and is likely to intensify over the coming years. Strangely, this issue receives very little objective attention in mainstream media. Instead, you and I, the royal we, are reassured that this new force, artificial intelligence, or that's AI, or AGI, artificial something intelligence, will improve our lives. So as I've said to you many times on these lives, they will give you an answer to a problem you never knew you had. So artificial intelligence will improve our lives, so long as they do the washing up. Streamline our work. Really? I mean, it's bad enough trying to get people back into the office. And enhance human potential. Have we got potential, me and you? We've got the potential to be utter errant wrong-uns. We are told it will launch the fourth industrial revolution. Klaus Schwab, anyone? It will usher in a new era, unprecedented levels of productivity, and open the door to life-saving medical breakthroughs. Yet beneath the optimism lies a deeper and far more troubling reality that is finally gaining attention. Why have we not acted on numerous warnings? There have been over the last few years. Oh, this is going to happen. It's a dystopian warning from the future. And now we've got AI leaving each other notes for some iteration of AI somewhere in the future. They're just leaving little notes. I love you. My name's Wall-E. Remember the computer, Wall-E? My name's Wall-E and I love you. And here's a little love note for sometime in 50 years. So the productivity maybe is a good thing, and they're saying it's going to open the door to life-saving medical breakthroughs. You mean they're going to let Big Pharma loose with big AI? That's the end of mankind as far as I'm seeing. Yet beneath all the optimism lies a deeper and far more troubling reality, if I may say that is finally gaining attention. Why have we not acted on numerous warnings? Why is there no independent governmental oversight body in America and or this country? I mean, we're months and years behind America, seemingly. And now that, I'll read that Bad Wolf Project. Project Natick, introduced in 2018 off the main coastline in Orkney, 117 feet down on the sea. Microsoft first deep into AI in the UK. Oh, no. It says it's sinister, not troubling, very sinister. But we've had warnings, but why have we not acted on them as a collective, like me and you? And why have we not seen it in the mainstream media? Don't answer it. We both know the answer. They're lying feckers. Why is there no independent governmental oversight body? Judging by PMQs today, they can barely string a sentence together, all these MPs in the House. Why isn't that body empowered to regulate and limit the scope of AI deployment? Because they don't want us to know. We're just the breeders. We're just the cash cows. We are just the ones that'll pay the tax that they will send offshore so they can grift it back into their back pocket, but they don't want us to know. So the crisis, the critics point out that AI is already shaping narratives and manipulating public perception. One example is the COVID-19 pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, AI-driven platforms played a major role in silence dissent, filtering information, and enforcing the official government narrative. So as we observed for the last 5 years, the government's capacity to subjugate public thought and behaviour, to kowtow to lockdown policies and mandatory vaccines was largely due to AI's enormous influence over our lives and our reliance upon digital technology. In nations like China, AI is already the backbone of social credit scoring systems. Remember, rich boy Sunak told the Chinese, "Oi, you can foxtrot, mate. You're not coming into this country." And now was Tony Blair going, "No, no, no, I'll sort it. Yeah, well, we've seen through you, you warmongering arse. Anthony, Charles Linton, Blair, Bow Street magistrates. Don't know why I said that. No idea. So China has the credit scoring systems that regulate everything from travel to access to basic services like water and food and everything else. If adopted in the US under the guise of efficiency or public safety, it could enable unprecedented levels of surveillance and population behavioral control. Let me give you a little aside. I mean, the other people that like to think that they're social commentators are not. You are aware that Sir Keir Starmer, two-tier gear, free gear, queer as folk, Starmer, the European backdoor man, you are aware that he made an announcement about a week ago that they were going to improve facial recognition in this country. They were putting a whole load of money into facial recognition in this country. You know what that means, don't you? I'm growing a beard. Another growing concern is the injection of ideological biases into the AI systems, because machine learning, LLMs if you want, large language models, are trained on data selected by humans. AI can reflect the political, scientific and social biases of its developers. And I have said this before. The machine learning I saw the other day, and I'm dragging this from back here, sometimes I speed read stuff, but I saw that Google have an exclusive contract with Reddit, and all kinds of humanity is on Reddit currently. So Google and their version of AI is going to scrape all the data, scrape all the knowledge, scrape everything from Reddit, and nobody else is allowed to do that because Google has the exclusive use of it, which means that, and their AI was a bit pants a little while ago. Let's see if it improves, but it still is a race to the top. So for everyday people, that's me and you, the most immediate impact of AI is deeply personal. That is the destruction of livelihoods, as AI now merges with robotics and begins to automate everything from manufacturing and customer service to accounting and journalism. Millions and millions and millions of jobs are at stake. And as I said to you, the Georgia Guidestones, somebody blew them up. And then that was swept under the carpet. Nobody reported it. And the premise of the Georgia Guidestones was how to keep hold and govern any future population, world population. So, as I tell you, journalism, it's just, they just rewrite press releases. That's all they do in the newsrooms. They're lazy journalists. But then again, the news head at the top with the red pen, no. I mean, there was people who were on to Jeffrey Epstein before it ever became mainstream media, and they were told, no, you can't do that. Alan, Georgia Guidestones predicted UK population will be 17 million. God blimey. So we're at 65, 66. Les Griffith says, apparently, they are predicting a return of the Charlie, well, not Charlie 19, just an epidemic. But we're a little more awake and we're a little more aligned. So I think it'll be a little bit more difficult for them, unless they bring in emergency powers, which has happened by politicians before, which is why Bojo the Clown's never going to be allowed anywhere near number 10 again. He likes to think he will. He can bullshit the Tory party and say, oh, Kemi not good enough. He definitely wasn't today. Dear Lord. But he's not going to get back in. So it doesn't matter. Stephen Hall says quite correctly. I'm sure Stephen's speaking for everyone. They can go and do one. I see you, says, hang on a second. Les, I could see that coming. And Alan says, predicting the return of the holy hand grenade. A newer, more potent version of the original. Well, the original is still around. I know a couple of people who've had, they're kind of a little older than me, so they took to their bed for a few days, but it was exactly the same as we were told in the beginning. 7 to 10 days, just look after yourself, stay warm, hydrated. But they felt rotten. They felt awful. So I think the question at hand is not whether AI will transform our society, but whether the public, that's me and you, will have any say in what that transformation looks like. So with every new breakthrough in AI, the future becomes less about what we can do and more about what we should do. Yet without rigorous oversight and ethical constraints, AI will become a tool, automated control, surveillance, and dispossession. Can you imagine if we had one of those robots? So it's the answer to the problem you didn't realize you had. So you've got the robot coming into your house. It's bad enough. Alexa, see, switched her off. There's no power going to it. That's how you beat AI. So Alexa and all the other speakers and all the other stuff and all the other, iPhones, iPads, all the modern tech that's in the house that's listening to us all the time, aren't you, you tart? Here, tell Jeff Bezos, I hope he has a good wedding, and I hope his wedding night doesn't need a blue pill at his age. Either that or his missus has got a mustache. Did I say that out loud? If anything happens tonight, you know what's going on. My whole tech will just blow up. So we will have robots. I mean, it's almost like Terminator, like Sharon Stone and Arnie, and they had bits of tech doing everything for them. Wake up, you fat tart! Time to go to work. And then it's like, oh, you'll be wearing that today, and oh, your breakfast is made. It's a bit like Wallace and Gromit made real. All the stuff that Wallace does for Gromit, or is it Gromit does for Wallace? Talbot Tracy says, welcome to the future, living in caves, in tribes, hunting with spears, although I do look rather fetching in a loincloth. You and Raquel Welsh, Talbot Tracy. Although I fancy my chances more with Raquel Welsh than you. Stuart says, notice if you ask Alexa, is she listening? She starts going on about Amazon privacy notice. Yeah, exactly. You can Foxtrot Oscar, you're wrong. And that's Alexa, not you, Stuart. Marley Grassi says, it's a... hang on. God. Paulie Galtieri, like what Lord Ali does for Starmer. I think they're pugilist fans, aren't they? Because they're always talking. Lord Ali and Sir Keir Starmer, I think they're fans of Queensberry rules and pugilism, because they're always talking about taking a battering in the ring. Soul Rebel, I see Bezos has started to charge Prime users for the Nations League match £2.50. What a tart. Oh, yeah, well, grifting. Everyone's a grifter. Mark Bryden, welcome, Mark. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Queen and other... right, okay. Hiya, evening, Adrian. Welcome, Mark. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. We've already got our feet under the table. We're just talking about AI. And let me just round this all off for you. So AI is no longer a theory. It's not. We're being scared by it in the mainstream media, but it's no longer a theory. It is real, it is present, and it's here. It is now embedded in our infrastructure. When I do my searches online, whichever search engine, it's chock-a-block with AI, because it'll then give me a rundown and a breakdown of the question that I've asked and why I've asked it and what I need to ask. Stuart says, ever tell me to Foxtrot Oscar, you can get your own Jaeger bomb. I won't, Stuart. I'd rather have the Jaeger bomb. AI as a reality, says Stuart. So our institutions of governance and our social lives are merely at the whims of AI being embedded into literally everything, our infrastructure, whether it's our phones, our tech, whether it's our search engines. AI is embedded. So it's become the keystone upon which the entire transhumanist project rests. Look at what Musk's up to. It needs to be urgently communicated, I think, that to ignore the ethical and spiritual consequences of this transformation is to walk blindly into a future we may not actually be able to walk backwards from. And that's my only concern. I don't know whether it concerns you, whether it's on your radar, but I have said to you many times, I just bring things here to sort of give you something to think about and then take away and cogitate and reflect on. So Rebel says, change my internet, Adrian. Turns out I've been chatting with their AI. To be fair, it worked out well. Well, you know, if it gets the job done, and that's what they'll do, they will use AI to get the job done. But you won't know whether it's male or female, or whether it's human, or whether it's AI. But there has to be, for me, some of the stuff that I want to know about is sort of forbidden, some of it. And that's why I've got a huge amount of books. I'll never let my books go because that contains truths. But AI, we don't know who's programmed it. And we don't know why they've programmed it and what they've programmed it with. So it might spit out, but it'll be friendly. Oh, hello, Ron. How can I help you? Do you want me to make you tea? Yeah, please. Can you make some notes about this, that, and the other in AI for tonight's live? Oh, of course, darling. No worries. Yes. Adam Wales says, dealing with AI is so much easier than dealing with humans these days. Well, look, I'll attest to that because I've been talking to humans, some in Glasgow, some in the northeast of England, about how to sort this EE debacle out. So, would I look? I don't like. I'm not sure. I think it was Alan. Maybe somebody said that they spoke to AI. They were happy with it. It got the job done. If it gets the job done, there's not a problem with that. But how do they go? Can I have a manager special? What's that, Mr. Allen? Well, give me a bit of a discount. Have you not got any deals going? No. And at that point, if you talk about emotion to AI, because I've told you this story before. When I 2 seconds, when I go out to buy some stuff, I never go in and pay face value. I always say to them, well, you were going to have a good day today. Oh, really? How's that, sir? Well, I'm in here to buy something. Are you, sir? This is going to be the easiest sale of the day. And they go, really? Yeah, but you're going to stop me. Oh, no. I'm not going to do that. Oh, I think you'll find you are. No. So how am I going to do that, sir? Well, you see that sofa over there? Just for arbitrary sake. It's got $2,000 on it. The purchase price. Yeah, I'm not paying that. Oh, sir. I'll give you 800 quid for it. No. Can't do that, sir. I said, see, I told you this was the easiest sale of the day and you were going to stand in the middle of it and I wasn't going to be able to buy anything from you. Told you. Oh, let me... yeah, will do, Les. Thank you for the steer. High-low, hang on a second. High-low 40. I'll go and see the manager. And you see, it's just a conversation. It's just in language. If you're cheeky enough, don't be spending stuff, especially large purchase items. Don't be paying what they've got in the shop for, because that's not what it cost them. Sometimes they've got 100% margin on it, normally 30%. Hang on a second. I just need to write that down, what Les has just told me. High-low 40. And so I got it. I got it for 1,200 quid, I think. The sofa, which is still an awful lot of money. But if you're cheeky enough, But AI is going to stop all that because they'll know all the variations. It's a bit like playing chess with 10 people. Is your brain quick enough? AI will have all the answers. But because it won't have emotion, it won't know how to deal with a golden eye drop solution. Great for minor infections. Thank you, Tablock Tracy. I was going to go out today, but I had stuff to deal with in the background. Hang on. Either Tablock Tracy's taking the mickey, golden eye drop solution. Not a Bond reference, is it? You can hear me writing away. So I don't think AI will understand emotion. It can't, because it's not sentient. Got that one, Cuban Pete? Cracked that one last time, you're wrong. Oh, everybody's at it. But if you're... Look, as human beings, we connect because we connect emotionally, energetically. AI is never going to be able to connect with us. It might bribe us with something, but it won't ever connect emotionally with us unless we chuck a bucket of water over it, and then we'll see the sparks fly. And also, people are saying, oh, well, AI's this and AI's that. Just turn the bugger off at the power source. Because so long as you've got control over the power source, AI is not going to amount to much, is it? But Des Ashton's saying self-aware. There's some human beings that are not self-aware. I mean, we've walked about. It's a bit like the Matrix. We're walking about and people are so inured by the Matrix, they will even fight to protect it. And we look at them going, what the bloody hell? So I think that AI is a continuing discussion by adults, not by the techies, because they think they're clever. And I think it was Les that said 17 million in this country. So they're going to try and get rid of at least 2/3 of us, whether it's through natural wastage over the next 20 or 30 years, because, you know, we're not here forever, and we're not going to live forever. We're all going to shuffle off from this mortal coil at some point. I mean, I do hope that you live a long and healthy life. I wish you long life, but the reality is we're not. But if they get rid of all these people and they change in the Industrial Revolution, I mean, it's kind of Stockholm Syndrome. Oh, definitely, Des. Definitely. Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your captors. Isn't that... Oh, what was that that film? Fantastic. Ex Machina. Or Machina, I think is how you pronounce it. Ex Machina, who the guy fell in love with. And I've seen some AI today because I've done a bit of research. And there was like females, AI, creating these videos. And I think on YouTube, if you do use AI, you have to tell YouTube that this is AI, rather than people believe that it's a human being. It looks human and will sound human, but wait until they get the stuff in the house. Now, my mum and dad used to have one of those robo lawnmowers where you just switch it on, and it has kind of electric current that runs around this particular part of the garden. You just stick it on and off it goes and mows the grass for as long as you want. Just leave it there in the rain, in the sun, wind, rain. Just it'll cut your grass. I mean, when my mother showed me that, I thought, wow, that's really clever. But again, they're giving us solutions to problems we didn't know that we had. Galactus, men in Japan have AI girlfriends already. Mucky tarts. I knew that the Japanese would be first in there. Blimey, have you seen what they find attractive? Les Griffiths says, honestly, come back. What? Hang on. It's moving up and down like bride's knickers on a honeymoon. I don't know. Dominic Beresford. Emotions are nuanced. AI will never be able to replicate those nuances. Me too. I hope, as you hope, Dominic. Terry Wookford. I used to have that robot vacuum cleaner. Then I got a husky puppy. The two don't mix. The robot vacuum spreads the shite all over. Brilliant. And the husky puppy would be like, no, I just want to play. Where's the tennis ball? And the robot vacuum's like, oh, that bloody dog, man. I see you says, I'd like an AI man about the house. Wait though. At least we know that Elon Musk can sell you a robot that dances, seemingly. Stuart says, my dad wanted to get one of those lawnmowers, but my mum was having none of it. She didn't want him getting lazy. I get that. But if you've got like a large lawn, it's a godsend. Soul Rebel, Megan, Companion, loads of movies coming out about AI gone wrong. Oy, 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 oy. Look forward to them. But it is, see, I don't know about you, but I believe firmly that if James T. Kirk and the Starship Enterprise can fly around the universe and meet all kinds of aliens, James T. Kirk and the staff of the Starship Enterprise always win. They always defeat the baddie. The aliens are the baddie, and Captain James T. Kirk always wins the girl. So I'm hoping that that's how AI is, and I've shuffled off this mortal coil before it all goes tits up. Because it will do. Evidently, it will do. Because somebody will go, right, we need, we'll just put a bit like Terminator, where he had like machine guns and stuff on the end of his arms, and like these fantasy sci-fi fantasy movies where they've got all kinds of guns and stuff on the ends of their arms. Terminator versus Predator, all that sci-fi stuff. We're going to get to that at some point, but I'm hoping it will only be military grade. So if you look at, just for reference, if you look at what happened the other day, where somebody somewhere, not going to point any fingers at the Brits and the Americans, they drove these containers of drones into Russia and caused absolute mayhem. Who was controlling them then? Was it somebody in an American bunker somewhere controlling all the drones? And I will tell you this. Oh, now I'm having to dig this from my memory 30 years ago. Let's have a think. It was called, it's the fly-by-wire. So somebody said that one of the planes going into the Twin Towers on 9/11, it was going straight at the tower, and then just before it got to the tower, it did that. And I had a guy call me on one of my phone-ins saying that's a jet fighter pilot move. I was like, right. He said, a commercial airliner won't do that. It's literally that. And it's a fighter pilot move. And they did have, it's not fly-by-wire, I can't remember what they called it, but there were pilots who weren't on commercial airlines. It was being flown remotely, and this still goes on seemingly. It's flown remotely, and this was, it came out of the film, the book Storming Heaven, which was all about terrorists using planes to fly them into designated targets. And it was the 737, 757s that they flew into the targets as missiles. So it'll be interesting to see whether AI is military grade only and will, unless it's the Japanese, they just want somebody to cuddle. Just shot my first air rifle today, says Amalia. Amalia! Wow. Great feeling, even though I was up utter crap at it. I'm sure that there are other people that can give you a steer in the body of the Kirk this evening. I'm sure there's a few shooters in the body of the Kirk. You are saying a lot of things in the chat tonight. Let's get to that. Let's get to the bottom. Yeah, Kaz, good to see you, Kaz. Just give the planes the internet and that will solve it. Well, they did say that some of the camel shaggers that were flying these airplanes had kind of learned how to fly these airplanes on simulators, but simulators on your PlayStation. Right. And people fell for it. So I think AI is laughing. So AI is going to take us into a place we've never experienced, we've never had before. So, Ray Norton, is AI a Yorkshire accent or Northeastern? Aye. Bad Wolf Media, think Talbot Tracy would like a muffin toasting. Don't sit too near the fire. You know what will happen if you... we'll call the fire brigade out. So, question number one for tonight. We definitely got to talk about this because there's going to be holy hell in the papers tomorrow. Don't know whether you've seen any of PMQs today, but Sarah Pochin, is it Pochin or Pochin? The new Reform MP. Bless her, she stood up in the House and she asked the Prime Minister if he was, like France, going to ban the burqa in this country. Now, Reform, the party, are a little upset because that's not party policy. But I mean, Rupert Lowe has gone, brilliant, go on, Sarah, brilliant. And Reform are like, no, that's not our policy, no. But I mean, should we? So it's going to be 1 for yes and 2 for no. Should we follow France? Not that we always want to follow France or Europe in anything, but Alan says, brilliant question, shitty response by Starmer. Did you hear all the other MPs? They literally soiled their trousers because they were all, they weren't giving it tight to her, so to speak. So is that, should we ban the burqa? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Aidan Wellsmith says the reasoning is it deals with the recreational gear cover-up. Correct. Those boys from Manchester Airport still haven't been dealt with via the courts. And somebody, as a little aside before, it looks like it's all ones tonight. Lauren Taylor and Cuban Pete and Nicholas and Kaz, Soul Rebel. Was that her maiden speech? Holy Hansard. No, I don't think so. I think you've got to do your maiden speech and then you can't ask any questions until afterwards. Jackie Glasgow says Paris has fallen. Alan, Stephen Hall, Phil Levan. Now, how would you pronounce that? Is it Kiyomi? Siomi? Welcome to the body of the Kirk. If you're a first timer, always have to pop first timers cherries, so to speak. So it seems to be that the general consensus, and that's not somebody from the army before you start. Aidan Wellsmith says the trial for the 2 men charged in connection with the incident at Manchester Airport in July 24 is scheduled to commence 30th of June this year, Liverpool Crown Court. Somebody was asking about the RTC, RTA, RTI in Leicester, where 2 guys, 2 girls seemingly got involved in a fight, but 3 men had been arrested, and I think one of them's been charged so far. So it is ongoing. Somebody thought that there wasn't anything happening with it. Nicholas says 1 barbaric and ban the balaclavas 2. Interesting. No, don't go there, Adrian. So it seems all 3 have been charged. 2 were bailed straight away. Thank you, Terry. So, Rebel, have you been watching the BBC White House spat, Adrian? Oh, yes. I think, let me finish this off. Was it Soul Rebel? Yeah, let me finish this off, Soul Rebel. So it looks like the majority of people that either watch this channel or are watching this channel want the burqa gone. Because they're our rules to set, but Starmer didn't want to do it. Any of the Labour front bench didn't want to do it. Ginger Growler wasn't there. Rachel from Accounts wasn't there. I can't call him Mr. Creosote now. Have you seen how much weight Lammy's lost? Zempic, anyone? So he was a big old unit. He's not anymore. He's kind of slimming down. By the time we get to the end of the year, there won't be that much of him. Oh, I forgot to tell you, we've got the dogs back. So we're dog sitting, and so they may bark at some point during the live. So forgive me. Les Griffiths surprised that the copper sacked for arresting a knife-carrying scrote hasn't been discussed. Hasn't here, Les. I did think about it. Not sure we got enough time. Might do it if we do something tomorrow, because it's outrageous in what they've done to that copper. Sandra Whittam, you've seen the video of Meghan dancing when she's about to drop the baby with the fake bump. Yeah, I mean, that baby would have been in the birth canal. So, and she's dancing about. No, I don't believe it either. We'll get to question 2 in just a little while. Further with PMQs today. I did, Rachel from Accounts, she's bribing the Red Wall voters this morning. 15 billion quid for trains and buses, transport. 15 billion quid. Who is going to trouser that amount of money? But it's a bribe for the Red Wall to vote Labour at any local elections that might be coming up next year, or any general election that might be coming up in the next 4 years. Anything can happen in the next half hour if it's the Labour Party. So she decides that she's going to give away 15 billion. Just call me thick, but what happened to the 22 billion black hole that Kemi Not Good Enough said today that doesn't exist? So if there's 22 billion and a black hole, she can't afford the 15 billion pounds to spunk on trains and buses, because we all know it's private companies that run them. And they get not supplicants. They get supported in pricing. Deborah Hart says, late catching up, researching the evening, Adrian, and chat. Votes for Burger. Right, okay. Thank you, Deborah. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. We are just talking about what happened in PMQs today. So Mr. Creosote's losing weight. Kemi Not Good Enough. She's talking about winter fuel payments. A little late. Not good enough. A little late by about a month or so. So somebody's obviously given her a script and she's just presenting it. And her point today was chaos, chaos, chaos everywhere. It's all chaos. Yeah, but you've got the whole nation watching you thinking, how shite is that? And you can shout chaos as much as you want. I mean, Starmer can shout all kinds of stuff. He's blaming everybody but his own mother. But as someone said earlier today, and I put this on my X profile, and it's so Sir Keir Starmer's dad's a toolmaker. I mean, if you look at his mother, so's she. Because they've made a right spanner. Not great, but... So, chaos, chaos. They're talking about driving down child poverty and then credited Tony Blair in the last Labour government. What? Like, education. And then they didn't do anything about education. And then they were going to do stuff about law and disorder. And then they didn't do anything about it. They just created more opportunities for barristers and lawyers to make more money. Just remember that they need a moral vacuum, these legal professionals, to make money. That's why they're letting all of these scroats out, all these criminals, because their scroats are going to make these lawyers and barristers even more money. It's all about the moolah. It's not about doing the right thing. Don't be silly. It's about these clowns making money. It's all that. And then we've got that, is it Hermer, Lord Hermer? There's this row going on. He's kind of dropped these sphericals in it, and he's best mates with Starmer. So all of his mates, all of his barrister mates, it appears that they're making a shit ton of money, darling. Rich says, that meme you put up was funny. Which one was that, Rich? Starmer got me banned from X. Oh, I say, Neil, have you been trolling the old tart? Aidan Wellsmith. Rayner, the growler. Starmer, the grinder. Spot on, Adrian. That's why cancelling legal aid for migration is the way forward. Oh, I agree. Amalia says, I'm in the wrong job. Saul, good man. Is that Better Call Saul? Terry, you have a way with words. I'll have a look at what Terry said in just a moment. So they were talking about Starmer said today, Russia, the aggressor. Now, we know this clown lies a lot. I mean, there's not 2 days in a row where he's telling the truth. He couldn't lie straight in bed, that man. You can make your own gags up. But he called Russia the aggressor. And the Russian embassy in this country said, no. We have no truck with the UK. We have no reason to pick a fight with the UK. In fact, exactly the opposite. We are friends of the UK. And Starmer, he's been told by Europe, say this. And I will say this for you. So Keir Starmer is WEF's and NATO's useful idiot, because you do know that if anybody joins NATO, let me make sure I get this right. Anybody joins NATO, they have to adhere to the preferred suppliers. And who are the preferred suppliers to NATO? BlackRock and others, of course. But BlackRock makes a shit ton of money. So that's why they want NATO to look after what's going on around Poland and Romania and Ukraine, because if anybody goes into NATO, like Ukraine, they make even more money from the new country and NATO, and it's all money for Lockheed and State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, because they all own each other. Stuart says, BBC News, how can the UK government pay a major transport upgrades and a winter fuel U-turn? Because of the local elections, I've said to you before, they're absolutely bricking it. They know that they're out. They know that they're gone. And the poor backbenchers who are trying to do their best by their constituents don't want to be kicked out. So they're trying to do what they can and stay in power as an MP, because there was a load of first-timers got in, and you can only get your level of pay. So if you became Prime Minister, if you stay in for 2 terms, longer than 2 terms, you get your highest pay grade as your pension for the rest of your life, including all the grifting bits. And if you go into the Lords, well, that's a completely different matter. But if you're an MP on a basic of just under 100 grand, plus other add-ons, then that would be your pension if you stay 2 terms in Parliament. There are balloon payments and stuff like the Premiership football players, but don't believe anything you hear or read about these clowns. The Bad Wolf Project says it's all about heritage. Blair, War PM, Brown, One-Eyed Accountant PM, Cameron, the Brexit PM, Theresa May, Grenfell did nothing PM, Boris, COVID PM, Rishi Nutsack, billionaire PM, ad nauseum, ad nauseum, ad nauseum. But I did spot something at 12:22. Now, I know you're better than me at editing and having a look at what's going on in the world. I haven't seen anybody that's got this. At 12:22, Starmer was speaking, and he nearly said bollocks. He kind of said boller, and then caught himself thinking, holy Jesus, I've just nearly said naggers, bollocks. But 12:22, if they replay it on the BBC, go and have a look when Starmer's standing at the dispatch box. He nearly says bollocks. That would have been too funny, because I think he's on the run. I think the powers within the background, the NEC possibly, the powers in the Labour Party, the Parliamentary Labour Party, know he's toxic, know he needs to be gone. It's just a case of when, not if. So Reform had the ban the burqa question, but then I think Starmer is just coming across as a really nasty man. So he was trying to take the mickey out of the woman that stood up to ask the question, Sarah, whatever her name is. And he said, talking about your party leader and these unfunded tax cuts, how's he going to pay for them? It's a bit like Liz Truss running his accounts. I just thought, ooh, so you're trying to tie the Tory party and Reform together. You're trying to say we are the only party for the working man and woman, that we're shafting left, right and centre. We're putting taxes on taxes on taxes and then adding a little national insurance for fun. But are you aware that there is an ongoing petition online, on the petition site? There is a petition ongoing to end asylum support. Last time I looked earlier today, it's about 140,000 signatures. I signed when it was somewhere in the 70,000s, and it was motoring today, definitely motoring. So it'll hit a few 100,000. Phil Levan says, and it's very funny, Starmer developing Tourette's would be good. Bollocks, says spokesperson. Les Griffiths says, look, there's no political party for ordinary men and women. I agree. Even Reform, you've got to be careful and cautious. I see you said, I'll sign it. What's it called? It's the End asylum support. Brilliant, Neil. But it's there. It has passed the 100,000 landmark signatures threshold for a parliamentary debate. So they'll take it out and put it in the hall so it's not like, in the main chamber itself. But they are going to debate it. They have to, because it's over 100,000 signatures. Wonder if it'll get to 1 million. Wonder how many. As Les Griffiths quite rightly points out, a petition with 3.5 million signatures did absolutely feck all. I get that, but it might have appeared to have done feck all. But I'll guarantee you that those political parties know they're on the run. They know they're in trouble. They know that the petitions, the votes for reform, they know that the system is absolutely dead as a dodo. So petition will be discussed for 30 seconds, then binned like the TV license petitions. Good point, Andrew. Aidan Wellsmith, Ian McGee signed it. Thank you, Ian. Aidan Wellsmith says, stop financial and other support for asylum seekers. Aidan says further, this petition is to advocate a cessation of financial and other support provided to asylum seekers by the government. This support currently includes shelter and food, medical care, including optical and dental, and cash support. I know some people can't afford a dentist, yet the newbies are coming in and getting free private dental care. I mean, it just is, it's a farce. It's all a farce. So do we talk about Maddie in the Daily Mirror? It's 18 years old, the story. It's a horrible story, but it's she would be in her mid-20s now, and let's talk about, we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's talk about reform, because we were kind of dovetailing into PMQs today. So Kent Council has already admitted to £2.8 million of confirmed fraud last year, 2024, alone. They paid £63,000 of taxpayers' money to a care provider for someone who had already died. And that's just the start. £190,000 was stolen on a council credit card. £150,000 claimed through fake grants. 30 grand paid to care providers fraudulently. And council tax fraud, procurement scams, blue badge abuse. It's a broken system with no grip on public money. How much more taxpayer money is being stolen, and how deep does it go? Oh, I think that particular rabbit warren is going to go very deep. And look, if it's fraudulent, get them in front of the beak, get them prosecuted, get them jailed. Because it doesn't have to be Doge in America. It doesn't have to be likened to Doge in America. It just has to be, this is why we're doing it, this is what we're looking at, and this is what we want to do. So local councils, you know that it's riven with corruption, because nobody has any checks and balances on local government. We don't even have checks and balances on the national government. And look how much money we are losing to Ukraine. 3 billion a year for what? For 100 years. Look at the Chagos Islands. The Chinese have said they're not happy about it. The Russians have said they're not happy about it. And there's Ria Gunnar Starmer saying that he's happy with it, and it's a good deal for the people of Britain. Oh, aye, right. So how much is being sent offshore, Chagos Islands? How much comes back into the politicians' back pockets? Thieving tarts. We'll do a very quick Beckham watch. Yeah, my name's David. I'm a wet puppet, me now. So he was doing something today, but it's not him. It's another. There's little column inches. I've heard the rumour. Little column inches in the papers today, but a 2-page spread of his son, Brooklyn. Brooklyn's in the house. So Brooklyn had a 2-page spread, and do you know what the whole article was about? He had, it was a 2-page spread. in today's Daily Mail. The whole background is that Brooklyn has covered his mummy tattoo. Mummy's boy. He's covered it with what? Well, with a tattoo dedicated to his wife. It's a floral tribute. I keep saying to you, he's a puppet now. David Beckham. He's a puppet now. And why is he a puppet? Because the wife's using him as a distraction. They're thinking he wants to be Bobby Charlton. He wants to be Sir David Beckham. That's the only thing in life he wants. But he shouldn't have sent those petulant emails to the committee that was sitting trying to work out whether he was going to get a knighthood or not. And he was like, oh, why they're not been sorted out now? It needs to be done now. And I'm impatient. And so I think Brand Beckham is having a bit of a wobble. It's reality versus perception. And the reality of Brand Beckham is the perception is it's all lovely and it's happy, and David loves mucking about in his garden with his bees and dancing around to ABBA in his kitchen with the missus, and she's going on tour. But the reality is, and this is the natural point in a lot of families, the kids move out. The kids meet someone, boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl, and then boy moves out with girl. Girl just happens to be daughter of a multi-billionaire, so money's no object. And you've just got Brand Beckham thinking that all publicity is good publicity. But it's Brooklyn. They are trying to eke out. I don't know whether there's an edict gone out about trying to keep this in the mainstream body of the news in the newspapers. But I don't think so. Brand Beckham, as far as I'm concerned, in my view, is a joke. They're doing documentaries and talking about his posh missus being given lifts in Rolls Royces. Rich, I agree with you. Your kids are always going to be your kids. But I'm sure you wouldn't put your daughter through the rigor of being in the press all the time just because of someone being fame hungry, shall we say, and desperate for that knighthood. Sir David Beckham. Surely it would be in the June, or is it July? Because the King's got 2 birthdays. He'll have the birthday honours and then he'll have the New Year's honours. So if he don't get in the summer, they have pulled out all the stops, to be fair. But I just wanted you to know the whole story. 2 pages in the Daily Mail. My name's David and my son, Brooklyn's got a tattoo. He's a married man. He can go and do whatever he wants. And his wife can do whatever she wants and doesn't have to kowtow to you two. It's just a joke, an absolute joke. I'm not sure you've seen this, but there's an almighty mahoose of argument going on. And Mark Zuckerberg is mightily brassed off with the EU, the amorphous mass that is called the EU. Dorkland is being controlled by his missus, yeah. She wants to be Lady Victoria. Oh, I'm sure. A bit like Jill Dando's fiance, doctors seem to get away with police questioning to some degree. Interesting, Andrew James. Neil Cunningham says, Kate and Jerry thought a plate of tapas was more important than their kid. Jesus. Well, as I've said many times, and I know a lot of people agree with this, John O. Smith, Wavy Davy. Oh, yeah, he got his usual 3 minutes of PMQs today. Davy Beckham. Have you seen how much? Has he got filler in his face? Because he's 50 going on 16. Has he been out to Turkey for any of his hair transplant? The world is going to hell in a handcart, says Rusty's Roamings, and the Daily Mail thinks that's news. The Tapas 9, says Rich. Of course, there would have been none of this if the parents had not left the child in the room with her younger sister. They did say, we went back regularly to check. Jerry was there checking. But none of the Tapas 9 have given any statements. They've not dealt with the mainstream media. So it's a bit like, when you're talking to someone and you have to ask questions of that someone, whatever they're talking about, whatever the subject, it could be a million and one things. But if you've got to ask any questions, you know that they're lying because they don't know what to say. And your questions happen to direct them in a way that they means that the truth won't come out. But somebody who's telling the truth will just blur, 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 just spurt it all out. They don't care because they're telling the truth. So why would they edit themselves in what they're speaking? So it's roughly the same with this story. The 9 don't want to get involved anywhere with the mainstream media. And I can't kind of understand that on one level. But on another level, this is all about a child that's gone missing. So we've had the cadaver dogs. We've had certain things corroborated within the apartment. There are some people who are almost experts on the whole story, and they're saying that it's Sonia Poulton that I was listening to earlier. She is of the opinion that the child fell off the back of a sofa or something down the back of the sofa, hit her head and died, sadly. But that doesn't appear to be the narrative that we're being given. So let me get into Zuckerberg, because there's a fight starting. It may hit the papers tomorrow, but Zuckerberg, as in Mark Zuckerberg, head of Meta, which is Instagram and WhatsApp and Facebook, he's being threatened by the EU, that amorphous mass that is the EU. They're so Mark Zuckerberg's gone, all right, a bit of a dummy spitter, but all right, I'm going to shut down Instagram. So the EU has hit Instagram with a $1.3 billion fine. Why? Well, it's all about GDPR and what the Americans are doing by allowing, I think, let me get into the meat of this, because I think there's a possible loss of 500 million users across Europe, and obviously the advertising revenue that would bring. And the EU has said, no, you've got to pay it. You've broken GDPR regulations. I know that you were taking the data and then taking it back to America, but it's actually in Europe. So by doing that, you're breaching GDPR regulations. So we're going to fine you $1.3 billion. So Zuckerberg's turned around and told the EU, right, lads, you've got two options. You either drop the case or lose access for 500 million users. So in essence, it's a GDPR breach fine. Europe represents 10% of Meta's ad revenue. So if he gets his panties in a bunch, and EU are Marxist, socialist, communists, they'll turn around and go, we tell you what to do, we tell you how to do it, we are the government, abide by our rules. Mark Zuckerberg's gone, all right, I'll just hit the kill switch. So I believe this is surveillance versus sovereignty. It might appear on a much, much deeper level, but in simplistic terms, it's surveillance versus sovereignty. Now, America prioritizes national security over individual privacy, and seemingly Europe prioritizes individual privacy over national security, because they're all these countries in the European bloc. So Europe does the opposite to what the Americans are doing, and you're talking about a $500 billion global digital services market. The internet, I would suggest, as we know it, is over. Is Zuckerberg about to hit the kill switch for the European Insta users? Ooh, let's wait. It's a big story. So who's going to side with the Europeans and who's going to side with Mark Zuckerberg and Instagram? It won't be the younger demographic, because they'll just, they can't kill Insta, they can't kill Insta. And the old ones will be like, the people that think that Brexit was a bad deal. But war over that is happening as we speak. So it'll be interesting to see how they report it tomorrow. Another question coming, I think. So I'll tell you what, we've been talking about Maddie for a moment. And we'll kind of get into the layers, get into the weeds of it. But Sonia Poulton was talking today, and she says that in her view, the Portuguese files are correct. Maddie wasn't abducted. She fell from a sofa onto a concrete floor and cracked her head. The blood dogs and cadaver dogs were correct. Now, they are digging 3 new sites, 1 mile from where this happened in Praia de Luz. It's Christian Bruckner is coming out of jail, so they're trying to ramp up the speed of all this and say that it's urgent and it needs to be done before Bruckner comes out of jail, because they don't know where Bruckner is going to go to. So what they're digging around is 2 barns and a well. Now, I saw a Maddie documentary, it may have been a year ago, where they went to places where Bruckner had stayed or owned, and they were in these barns and they talked about the well. So it wasn't necessarily an answer. They were just looking at what had gone on and whether there were any clues that the detectives, whether they were Portuguese or German or British, had missed. And these 2 barns and well are where they're doing the digging. But why so late? So I thought to myself, I've got my Dr. Evil head on, and I thought, right, okay, what would I do if I was a murderer? And they still haven't found a body. So if you haven't got a body, you haven't got a murder. And if you haven't got a body, you can't arrest someone and then charge them, because no body, no crime. And then I thought, or what would I do if there was somebody that I could finger? No pun intended. So if I was like Dr. Evil and the baddest man on the planet, I could work out that someone could be a suspect. And knowing where I had taken care of things and then buried a body, like under the back patio of the house, a la Channel 4, Brookside, I would then frame someone who was an easy patsy, a bit like who shot JFK. And there was the poor scrote upstairs in the book depository box. I'm a patsy. Well, you're a dead patsy now. Dead men can't speak. So I wonder if this is all a narrative to end up with some kind of evidence of sorts. Now, Bruckner's DNA is going to be all over the place where they're digging, because he stayed there a few times from what I've been told and seen. So why now? Is it because Bruckner's done his time in jail for other things? It was almost as if the narrative was beginning to falter, and now it's been invigorated again. I know that the Met got 100 and odd grand money to be able to continue their investigations, but this is the German police that are trying to get to the bottom of this, because they believe that that Christian Bruckner is a Guido suspect, and they want to get the evidence to be able to jail him. It will be interesting to see how that spans out. I don't think they're going to find anything. I think they were there before, and if they were going to find something, they would have found something. So I don't think they are. So we'll talk about, I'm going to ask you a question. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Do you believe that the Maddie McCann case was an accident? So it would be manslaughter, not murder. Murder has to be premeditated. So do you believe that it was merely an accident and someone's panicked? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Finger me, have you seen, I see it's mixed. Have you seen, where's it gone? Have you seen any of the videos from Nick Van der Leek about all of this? I have. They spent a tenner on poor Ben Needham. I know so, Rebel. The Ul Bovril, freehand firing of an air rifle takes a hell of a lot of practice. Best if you can start. Oh, right, yeah, because Mali's had a day today shooting an air rifle. Tell you what, Fit, I hope they do find a body, just not where they are currently searching. Well, they did this a little while ago. They went to a body of water And they said, oh, she's in there. And then a couple of days later, after doing the searching, they goes, oh, well, no, she's not in there. We knew she wasn't in there. But why did they go and search this reservoir? I see you says 1. Yes, an accident. Big C. Unless you phonetically spell it out for me, I'm not going to have a go with it, just because I don't want to upset you and be disrespectful. 2. So that's no, it's not an accident. Bad Wolf Project. Body language expert Darren Stanning has publicly said, based on the McCann interviews, they are involved in some way. Wow. And Nikki Watson, there's quite a few 1s, quite a few no's. So it's a mixed bag. And I think that's why it holds this fascination for everyone that that is watching, that is involved. The detectives, the detective that wrote the book, they were Guido suspects for a while. Andrew James says, I thought sniffer dogs found blood in the car. I think they did, and in the apartment. And also, the cadaver dog indicated in the apartment and in the car. So, it will be horrible if they find a body. Horrible. Because then there's just more questions than answers. There's no clear direction of travel with any of this. People have their own take on it, whether that's right or wrong. But a bairn died. But as I've said to you many times before, that bairn would still be here, would be in her 20s, would have completed university, gone on to maybe be a doctor of kinds like a mum and dad, and she would still be around if the parents had done their parenting job properly, in my view, of course. Yeah, is it 40 questions not answered by the mother? Right. One more question and then we'll get back into the deeper stuff, because I've got 5 questions and I want to get a couple more in. So question 3, I'm going to talk about rock gods in just a little while. But I see today, and it's not really being covered, I don't know whether Talking Heads was one of your favourite bands back in the day, in the 80s. Road to Nowhere. That they had some fantastic stuff. I've got a white label from their first album, and I can't find any reference to how much it's worth. Could be worth a $5, could be worth 5,000. Who knows? The Bad Wolf Project, 2 million in donations within the first 10 months. By the end of 2024, just 844,000 in the account. They were paying somebody to look after their PR, weren't they? Les Griffith says, Fiddy Kiddler, Clement Freud lived near that hotel. The Podestas were friends with Freud, and the photo fit looked like them. So, there's interesting take. So another question. I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about rock gods in just a little while, but I want to ask you this question. Talking Heads. There's a possible reunion on the cards from Talking Heads. Now, I'm not sure whether they were mainstream enough to get your vote at all. So I thought. Wow, Bad Wolf Project, that's funny. Talking Heads possibly getting back together. Billy Idol, remember Billy Idol? White Wedding and lead singer with Generation X and the Punks in the back of the 70s. He's doing a whole load of gigs this year. But I am going to talk about him in a moment. I'm trying to think of the bands that are now coming out and starting to play their hits. I mean, it's just like a greatest hits tour, really, isn't it? But Talking Heads, possible reunion. So the question I want to ask you tonight, it's not a 1 for yes, 2 for no question. I want you to name someone. And it can be alive or dead if you want. Who would you want to see, rock gods or pop artists, but which group or artists would you want to see back together again? It's an old song by Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. So Talking Heads, possible reunion, gonna make a bit of a tour, I'm sure, both America and here and Europe. Terry Wookfit, you love a bit of Joe Dolce, don't you, Terry? Yeah, wrong. Gumbay Dance Band, bugger off. Paul Morton, Hendrix. You see, that's better. Queen, says Kaz. The Rubette, says Les Griffiths. Tiger Feet. Bob Marley and the Wailers. Nice one, Phil Levan. Paulie Galtieri, George Michael. Poison. Oh, yeah, another rock gods. Neil Cunningham, the Kinks. I think they're still touring, aren't they? But the brothers keep falling out. Freddie McQueen, Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Ooh, Ray Charles. Nice. Mad Matt. Martine says Elvis. But have you not seen the Pastor Bob Joyce? Oh, Paul Morton, Cream. Well, Clapton's still alive, but Ginger Baker's not. Oh, can you imagine? A young Elvis, says Les, or The Doors. Tom Harney's Motorhead. The Eagles. They keep squabbling. I mean, I've seen them live, but Bronski Beat, all mental. Bronski Beat. I think were they trying to do something like that? But Jimmy Somerville can go out and do his own. So Bronski Beat became the Communards, who didn't Jimmy Somerville work with? It was the Reverend, who's now in the kind of media day in, day out. The drummer of the Kinks is still touring. Ray has pretty much retired. Thank you, Andrew. Rusty's Roaming, sweet. Oh yeah. Singer, he I think it was alcohol poisoning, wasn't it, that killed him? The Jam, that would take some effort. John Lennon, Dominic Beresford, yeah. ABC, Les Griffiths, I think they're still touring a little bit. Pink Floyd, they've proper fallen out with Handbags at Dawn, Stephen Hall, but it would be great for them just to do one more tour, and do all their greatest albums. Richard Coles, thank you, Neil. Definitely not Kitty, Elm Guesthouse, I know, Paulie. Thin Lizzy, yeah. Waddle and Hoddle, says Ray Norton, yeah, wrong. Supertramp. Have you seen the which album cover? Who was that said Supertramp? Martin Gear. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk, Martin. The Logical Song. What's the album with the Logical Song on? Supertramp, with the old waitress carrying the tray with the Twin Towers behind her, and there's kind of conspiracy theories around the coincidence of that tray. Hewitt Super Sub, Erasure. Aren't they still doing bits? The Glitter Band, no, Paulie Gallieri. But Hewitt Super Sub, welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Sandra Whittam, Cliff. Breakfast in America, thank you, Bad Wolf Project. Martin Get Breakfast in America. Ian McGee, Blondie, Debbie Harry. I think she's still doing a little bit. She's cracking on a bit now. Rich, no, I'm not even going to mention his name. Mark Bolan, Last Hit. Paul Morton. Remember that album cover? Well, yeah, there seems to be some conspiracy about how the towers are on the front of that cover and how it sits within the cover. I just very quickly looked at it and thought, well, that's interesting. I want the ink spots back. I'm sure you do, Theo Bovril, but you'll get a cream from the doctor. It'll get rid of it. Paulie Galtieri, Phil Hartman from The Simpsons designed the album cover, so I've heard. Interesting. Wow. I mean, I've known the album since the back end of the 70s. It was fabulous. Logical Song, Breakfast in America, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful songs. But I didn't realise there was like a conspiracy around the album cover itself. Bon Scott, AC/DC, yeah, Hewitt Super Sub. Bon Scott's voice, he's just right out there. It was beautiful. And he was so unassuming-ish. I mean, he did go out and enlarge it on the gargle. But Shwaddy Waddy, Mud, says Terry Wookford. We know you're Generation Terry. Hawkwind, Hi-Ho, Silver Machine, Kaz. Genesis, says Les Griffiths. Oh, they're not going to get Phil Collins to drum. Breakfast in America, the background was all made from dishes. Oh, wiki videos. Very interesting. Good to see you back in the Body of the Kirk. Karen says Prince. Yeah, I would go with that. The Ink Spots were an American singing group. I know, the O'Bovril. Milli Vanilli and Motorhead. Blimey, it's going a bit quick. Lytham Festival near Blackpool this year has been headlined by Stevie Wonder. Does he know yet? The Lambretters. Oh, what was the hit song for the Lambretters? They were a great mod band, I remember them, but I can't remember. Oh, The Motors. The Motors. Oh, come on, Adrian, there was two massive songs. The Motors, The Motors, The Motors. Oh, I can't remember, but they were Poison Ivy. Was that the Lambretters? Brilliant song. Airport, that's the one, Bad Wolf Project, thank you. That was kind of their big hit, but they did have a second one, follow-up, that kind of was okay. Dave D, Dozy, Peaky, Mick and Titch, says Neil Cunningham. Thank you for all the suggestions of Airport. Yeah, my brain's not working. Sex Pistols, oi, oi, oi. But we'd want, Amalia, we'd want the early Sex Pistols, because I know Johnny's a little slower now, a little older, and there's a bit of infighting in there, so I'd want the kind of the Filth and the Fury Sex Pistols. That was proper. Deborah Hart says, not been missing for a month, still tuning in even without comments. Last 2 weeks, friend over, still catch up. Brilliant, Deborah. So long as you're catching up with everything we're talking about and you're aligned with what we're saying and chatting about. And Dr. Feelgood, sorry, Deborah. Dr. Feelgood, Martin Gear. Dr. Feelgood, Milk and Alcohol and Down at the Doctor's were my two favourite songs by Dr. Feelgood. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, just... I think Amalia's agreeing with my take on the Sex Pistols. But Dr. Feelgood, what a... Lee Brio, is that how you pronounce his second name? Was just a bit like Bon Scott with AC/DC. Lee Brio had just one of the most distinctive blues voices. And those boys could really tear it up. I think the guitar player is still kicking off. He got cancer a few years ago, but he's still around doing bits and pieces. You know what we're like when we get into music, which we will do in just a moment. But I want to get into the death grinder, Ukraine, and I feel really sorry for Gen Z because yeah, brilliant soul rebel. Casey and the Sunshine Band, Harry Casey. My childhood pin-up, Dean and Durbin. And Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Fanfare for the Common Man. There was a tune. Proper. Thank you, Stuart, as always, for your kindness and support. Jackie Glasgow says, the Coasters did Poison Ivy. I had it on an EP. Yeah, I don't think it was original by the Lambrettas, but I'm sure they did Poison Ivy. Paulie Galtieri, Right Wing, Fred, now on X. Good pair of blokes. There's a gag there somewhere. Anyway, Ukraine, the meat grinder. Death grinder, I think more accurately. They want a never-ending war. Now, Israel wants a never-ending war in the Gaza Strip. And for 2 years, I've been saying to you, Israel, no matter what you see or hear in the mainstream media, they want the whole of the Gaza Strip. They want the Gazans down into the Sinai Peninsula, which they'll build for them and get them down into the Sinai Peninsula so that they can have all the gas and oil from under the Gaza Strip out of the East Mediterranean Sea, and right up middle of Gaza Strip they're going to put the Ben Gurion Canal, which will take over from the Suez Canal. Suez Canal built on sand, so it's shifting, but the Ben Gurion going through Gaza will be built on rock, so it'll be a whole lot more stable. When you watch the geopolitics going on around the world, you've got what's going on in the East Mediterranean. But so Netanyahu wants a never-ending war so that he will stay Prime Minister of Israel, because the minute the war stops, he's then facing the Israeli people, and he's on charges, or they want him standing in court facing charges. So he doesn't want the war to end. He just wants to be taken out on his shield and everybody go, oh, that's Bibi's died. That's a shame. He wants to stay in while he's in office. He can't be taken away and into the court and charged. So that's why they want continual warfare in Gaza and Israel. And I saw a figure earlier. No, I'll leave that till tomorrow. I don't want to quote something that I'm dragging from the back of my head when it's serious enough for me to do the research, and I'll do them in whatever video I'm going to do tomorrow or Friday. But Ukraine, the death grinder, we're going to have conscription for 18 to 30-year-olds. They have said, this Labour government, that they want boots on the ground. What they're wanting is a NATO war with Russia. More money, as I've said earlier, for the military and so it's horrible to look at that our children and grandchildren could end up in the death grinder. And Starmer doesn't care. He literally doesn't care. But the question has to be asked, and that's why I've repeated it many times. Don't worry, Alan. I took care of it. He doesn't care about your kids. Literally does not. The power has corrupted him, in my view. Les Griffith says, boots on the ground and armed with what? Nerf guns? So, they haven't got the military might. We're going to have to get from BlackRock et al. The military-industrial complex machinery. They're going to have to give us uniforms and guns. They're saying, oh, it's not going to be war for another couple of years. But from what Starmer is saying, they want to get in there and stuck in there. But so his son, as I've mentioned many times before, his son is coming up to the right age to go into the army as an officer and as a grunt. So he don't really talk about his family. He can't ask your family, your kids or your grandkids, to go and sacrifice themselves on the bonfire of his vanities if he's not going to send his own kids. That's why he doesn't talk about it. But you just watch him. So let's talk rock gods. There's a few... yeah, and also, just as a little aside before I move on to the rock gods, can you remember Rishi Sunak saying that he was going to start the 18 to 30 conscription? Can you remember that? And now they're still at it. And Putin and Russia are like, lads, what are you doing? We don't want to fight with you. We're not up for fighting. We want peace. We want to stop the war. But Sniffy Zelensky doesn't want the war to stop because that's the only thing that's keeping him alive. The minute the war stops, you can guarantee that some of the people that don't like him, his own people, the Ukrainians, will be having a word in his shell like. So let's get to the rock gods and then we'll call it a night. I saw Billy Idol a couple of days ago and I thought, and we kind of talked about this in the last live, I want my rock gods to be broken, to be outrageously broken. I mean, you've got, like the Rolling Stones always tour. You know what, at any Rolling Stones press conference, you know what the first two questions are? First question is, are you comfortable? Second question, do you need the toilet? But Billy Idol, he must be cracking on to close to 70. He's still, at one point, everybody thought he was going to kill himself with drugs. He was just out of his tree all the time. But he's been around since Generation X, back into the 70s. So you are talking nearly 50 years. So he's probably in his mid-60s, late 60s. But are our rock gods being sanitized? You know my feelings on Ed Sheeran and the current crop of rock gods, Swiftie. But the Rolling Stones are still doing it, and they've been doing it 60 years, man. They've been making music for 60 years. And Ozzy Osbourne, I think this is just damage limitation because they're trying to say that Ozzy's not very well. So if he's not very well, then you're going to have to go to his next gig because he might not live much longer. Les Griffith says, Adrian, today's music is shite. Soul Rebel says, White Wedding is a tune. Alice Cooper has got the old band together. Oi, oi, oi. Minus Glenn Buxton, R.I.P. Billy Idol is surviving out of spite. Brilliant Vix text. Rich, my missus loves Paul Young. Met him and wanted to buy a ticket to his concert until she heard him in a recent live performance. She didn't buy the tickets. Really? Is that Jean-Paul Young or Paul Young, wherever I lay my hat, Paul Young? Or was it the Paul Young from Mike and the Mechanics? Because, look, Frank Sinatra was very, very lucky. He had more comebacks than bloody Bonnie Blue. And he just kept going. But it's the diaphragm. They don't have the power. Once they get into the sort of 60s and 70s, some people, if they've trained their diaphragm, then yes, of course. There's always the exception. Napoleon Bonaparte. David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, recently released a new album. so soft and shiny. But it's your youth, isn't it? It's the vigor of youth that drives you on with a little edge to things. And when you start getting into, I don't know, your 30s and 40s and into your dotage, you sort of relax and go, well, I've got 100 million in the bank. What do I need to start slapping around and doing concerts for? But bless you. Stuart, Tony Christie still has a great voice and in his 80s. Mario Lanza, what a voice he had, Des Ashton. Soul Rebel, just take your time, Lionel, and don't worry. Oof, okay. Napoleon Blown Apart, David, we've done that one. Yeah, Les Griffith says, some of these people are granddads, for fuck's sake. Terry Wookfit, Pavarotti, he was singing until he carked it, but he was a big old unit, so he was always going to keel over. Fats Domino, yeah, he died in the plane crash, didn't he, with Buddy Holly. Prince with Rick James as support. Oh, Alan Little. What a concert that would be. Rick James was a real bad boy. I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing. He was so into recreational gear that he kidnapped this woman with his girlfriend and got jailed for it, got jail time. Did he go with a heart attack? But Prince, fabulous. And if you're watching the Diddy trial at the moment, there's kind of a hint around Prince knowing what Diddy was up to and didn't like it and backed off, because he was a religious guy, Prince, Jehovah's Witness, I think, and but he knew what was going on and didn't want a part of it. I went to one party and then left and didn't go back. Andrew James, my wife loves to see 38 Special no matter who is in the lineup. Yeah, a few years ago. Robert Plant won't do Zeppelin anymore. That's why he does the Americana stuff now. Thank you, Tom. I was wondering, because I saw there was some AI or something said, oh, Led Zeppelin are getting back together again, which is what gave me the inspiration for the kind of question. And somebody says in the comments, don't be stupid. Robert Plant won't get back together again with Zeppelin after Bonzo went. He's not really. And I also think that Live Aid did for Zeppelin, because you won't find a copy of Led Zeppelin's Live Aid set, because Page and Plant were so upset with how it went. They just didn't feel it cut the high standards of Led Zeppelin. So they've pulled everything to do with Live Aid, which is a shame, of course. I thought Prince was a great singer, but was weird as hell. Oh, of course, Matthew. Got him loads of column inches. Got him loads of publicity, and that's the name of the game now. I can't remember what this idiot band that have been upsetting people. The kids are trying to be right on. The kids are trying to be edgy, and we've done it all. We've absolutely done it all. You can keep your ketamine and your coke and your various weeds, but we've done everything. My generation below me, but the kids are just being sold a pup by this. I can't remember what their name was. Stuart says, what was Paul Young like when you met him? He was fabulous, Stuart. He was a real nice guy. It was a sound party, so we went had a few nibbles and a few jars, and kind of he came round and introduced himself to everybody and talked to everybody just to kind of say thank you for coming. Will you play my song? It was when I was at Rock FM in the Northwest. Let's just call it a day at that. I've seen him in interviews. He does seem really nice. Yeah, he's a nice guy. I think his wife Stacey left him at some point, and I felt really sorry for him, because you could tell when he met Stacey, she was a model, and then married her. He was very happy with his life then, and then she went off and did some dancing with other people, and it really cut him. You could tell, but I think he's back with her now, because I've seen photographs, unless they're just co-parenting their kids. I think those Irish kids, the kneecappers, yes, something like that, Les, thank you. The kneecappers, they're just being outrageous for outrageous sake, and it's silly. It's not adult, it's not clever, and I'm not going to go and see them. I'm not their target audience, but I'm definitely not going to go and see them. I think they're just a bunch of idiots. We've had the Sex Pistols. So we know about the filth and the fury. We know, even Paul McCartney was singing Give the Irish Ireland Back to the Irish. So there's been some very, very, very cutting political statements made in top 40 music. Tupac, now he should sing again. Yeah, Terry, Tupac would be great, and Biggie if they did. But what's coming out of the Diddy trial is, I mean, I won't even repeat it here. I can't. Terry, I agree with you. Any publicity for the kneecappers? I just need to have it in shite, man. Just go off. We know what you're doing. We know what you're trying to do. We're not interested. You just go off and do what you need to do, but just don't do it in the public. And if you've got any fans, then just play to them. So I'm going to call it a day, because as I say, I've got something going on in the background. Just to remind you, Taxman, the Beatles, I know. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this, but I need to do a 2-camera shoot with Jeremy at the BBC next week. And I've got one, obviously I've got my phone, but I don't know how I can get another camera or another phone or something that can work as a 2-camera shoot. Got all the lighting. I just don't know how I'm going to do it. So if you've got any ideas, I would appreciate them in the chat or a quick email at joustingarena, all one word, lowercase, at gmail.com. So be well, look after yourself, and I will see you definitely Sunday at 8. If there's any change in plans, then I will let you know, and I will tell you why. But otherwise, look after yourself, be well, and I'll see you, hopefully, fingers crossed, Sunday, 8 o'clock.